Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to take a look at a new compiler on the channel. The compiler goes by the name of ProwlingTiger, and you can see if I show you this snip, he's been publishing puzzles on Logic Masters Germany for the last little while, and they've started to get some really stellar ratings. Now, I remember one other compiler who fell into this bracket a few months ago, and his name was Fistamafel. So perhaps we might be discovering another a new kid on the block who is going to take Sudoku to new areas. Now, ProwlingTiger, I happen to know, is also I think his name is Alexander in real life, because he has emailed me a couple of times asking us to show a couple of the puzzles. Yeah, we're very happy to do so today. I'll test to say this is a very good puzzle, as indeed does Logic Masters Germany. I think I'll call you ProwlingTiger though, because that sounds more awesome. And yeah, I'm going to explain the rules in a minute. Now, I need to tell you that I was hoping to announce the result of the wallet competition today, but we still haven't finished going through all the entries. Mark, I sent a great deal of sort of what I consider to be the top entries to Mark, and he has been going through them but is not quite finished. So you can blame it on the fact that we are doing this diligently. We are genuinely trying to pick our favourite, and I think we'll be ready tomorrow. So do tune in then to hear the final result. Now, what else? Just that there's so much going on in the puzzle world at the moment. There is so much going on. I feel like I'm drowning in puzzles. I guess that wouldn't be a bad way to go. But yeah, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up for you on the channel, including, I hope, the first ever Sudoku puzzle hunt, which I've just received a final form of just a few minutes ago. So I'm very excited about that. And our testers, are raving about it. So that could be genuinely super. Now, let's talk about ProwlingTiger's puzzle. You can see that on the screen we have some Sudoku with some killer Sudoku clues. You can see these are the cages. So these work in the normal way, i.e. we have to make sure these 3 digits, for example, or these 3 cells add up to n, whatever n turns out to be. You can see the whole puzzle is themed on these 2 numbers, m and n, and we have to discover what m and n are. It sounds like a rapper, but m and n could be the same digit apparently, so we must bear that in mind. Now, the only thing to remember about killer Sudoku cages as well is you can't repeat a digit in a cage. So if we look at this cage, it wouldn't be possible for this to be, actually that's a bad example I was about to pick, and that's another bad example. Let's look at this one instead. I'll see if I can come up with a better. Oh, I can't do it here either. Well, you just remember, you can't repeat a digit in a cage. And then we've got some little killer clues outside the grid. Now, these work in a sort of similar way. If we look at this n clue, that would mean those 4 squares along the arrow have to sum up to n. But this time you can repeat a digit. So obviously those 2 digits couldn't be the same because they're in the same 3x3 box. But this cell could be the same as this cell, could be the same as this cell, for example. And that's all we know. So I'm going to have a go now. I definitely recommend you have a go. I'm hoping this puzzle will be slightly more straightforward today. We do try and vary it and not just show you absolute monster puzzles. So yeah, if you click on the link under the video, then you should be able to play on whichever device is your preference. And with that, let's get cracking. Now, right, well, we can see M here. So M is a single digit. We've got it there as well. So it's got to be a number between, well, it can't be 2. Oh, in fact, it's got to be a lot bigger than 2. Look, we've got an M clue here that's 5 cells long. Right, so if we put in some minimum values here, especially as this one, look, these 2 cells cannot be 1 and 2. The best we can put there would be 1 and 3. That could be a 1. This could be 1 and 2. So that would add up to 8. Right, so M is either 8 or 9. And m can't be 8. Look at that, that's beautiful. Straight away. Look, if m is 8, this square has to be a 1. But now we've got a 3-cell cage there that has to add up to 8. Well, that's impossible. Because to make 8 in 3 cells, you must always have a 1. It's either going to be 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. So actually I think we've found that m is 9. So that's a 9. That's a 9. And each of these digits has 1 degree of freedom. Well, this whole sum has 1 degree of freedom. So this has got to be either 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. This could be 1 or 2. This has got to have a 1 but could have a 3 or a 4. So there's got to be a 1 there. That's probably worth noting. And there's got to be a 1 here. And yes, that is useful here, because now we've got a 3-cell cage that sums to 9 that cannot include a 1. So this has to be 2, 3 and 4. That's the only way of making 9 without using a 1. That's not 2. The 2 must go in one of these 2 cells. Now look, this 2 is now pointing at this square, so that is a 1. And now this 3-cell cage has got to be 2, 3, 4 as well. And now I'm a bit stuck again. Right, hang on a sec. This M cage, that sees 1s again. So this is a 2, 3, 4 cage. That one can't be 2. So now we've got 2, 3, 4 triple in row 7. Can't see how. And in fact, a 1, 3, 4 triple there. Don't know anything about N yet. M here, this threesome here has to add up to 9. Okay, we can do something with this. So if it's got a 2 in it, we know it's either 1, 2, 6 or it's 2, 3, 4. Well, it can't be 1, 2, 6 because this cell would have no possible value. So we know, in fact, this is 2, 3, 4. So these 2 squares are 3 and 4. That gives us a 2, 3, 4 triple in this column. Sorry about this. Let me just... Not quite seeing what I meant to do here. Let's have a look at this one. So, yes, look, we've got a 4-cell N cage. Or not cage, but this sum has to add up or include 4 cells. And these 2 cells can't be that low. One of them could be a 1. This one could be a 1. But that one couldn't be lower than 5. So if we had one, now that one also, that one's restricted. Look, this cell can't be a 1 or a 2, so that can be a 3 minimum. So these 3 minimum values are 9. This square would take it to 10. So we know that N is a 2-digit total. Let's get rid of those. So N is 2 digits. Oh, and that means where in this box do we place the 1? We can't put the 1 here or here because it'll either have to take a 9 with it or a number greater than 9. So the 1 must be there. That puts 1 in one of those squares. 6 now must be in this N sum. Oh, now that's good because that rules out 10. We can't make these add up to 10 because we can't use 4. And we can't make these add up to 12 because I can't put 2 6s next to each other in the same box. So N is either 11 or 13 or greater. Oh, but it's not greater. No, it's not greater. Look, we've got 2 n cages in here, and we can't use 9 in them. So we can't ever have 14 as a sum, because one of these would have to include a 9. So n is either 11 or 13. So if it was 11, this would be 5, 6. No, it can't be 11. Look, if this was 5, 6, these two squares can only be 7 and 8, which means this can be a minimum value of a 7. Let's look at that. But obviously this can't be a 1 or a 2. So now we've already reached 11 and we've still got one cell left. So 11 is not a possible total. So I think we've got to use 6 and 7 here. I think n is 13. It's a very nice structure to the puzzle though, isn't it? The way that you can deduce m and then you can deduce n slowly using these totals. I like it. Now, what do we do next? So if we look at this column now, we have a lot of information. We need a 7 and a 9 into those two squares. Well, that can't be a 9. Or can it? Oh, no, it could. If that was 1, 3. That 2, 4. No, that doesn't work. It's a bit convoluted, but if this is 9, 1, 3 here would make that a 2. Now this would be a 3, 4 pair, and that has no value because we need a 2 in there. So this has to be 7. These have to add up to 6. No, not sure how we do that yet. Can that ever be 8? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, it could be if that was a 1. What about over here? We now know that both of these add up to 13, so they must be 5 and 8 and 6 and 7. And that 1, 2 pair, look, that's beautiful. The 1, 2 pair must be mirrored in those two squares. That makes this square a 3, which means this square is a 1. This square is not a 3 anymore, so there's a 3 in one of those two cells. That means that square's a 3 just by normal Sudoku rules. No 3 in there, so this square's a 3. This square's not a 3. This 2, 4 pair, can we use that somehow? 7. Well, we can't, but the 1, 2 pair there fixes that that's a 4. So again, we get another pair here. 9 is now locked in this box. Look, these 9s interact. So that square's a 9. One of these two is a 9. One of these two is a 9. And now we've got 5 down here. So these two squares have got to add up to 4 to make 9. So we can't have a 4 in either of them. So this one has to be a 1. That one has to be a 3. There's a 3 up there. This can't be a 1 anymore. And now we're starting to really go a bit faster. Oh, look. There's got to be a 1 in this n cage. These two have to add up to 6, so they are 1 and 5. And these two squares have got to add up to 9. And they can't be 1, 8, 3, 6 or 4, 5. So I think these have to be 2 and 7. The 3 here means this is a 4, so we get 2, 3 here. Oh, and that's nice, because this 2, 3 is going to give me a 4 there. That must be a 4. 4 into one of these two squares. 3 must go here now. Yeah, we are starting to go a bit faster. Oh, M clue here on this diagonal. You can see it can't be 1, 8, 2, 7 or 3, 6. This has to be 4, 5. 4 over here tells us the order. That's 4, that's 5. Now there's a 4 up here. Now immediately I scan across. Look, the 4s are locked into the same 2 rows in box 4 and box 6. So where does the 4 go? In row 6 of the grid. We know it can't be there, it can't be here. There's only one cell that it can go into. That fixes another couple of 4s in the grid. This N cage adds up to 13, so we've already got 6. We need 7. 7, 6 there. This 6 has an effect on there. Now we know these add to 13, so if there's no 6 here, there's no 7 there. I guess we could have got that from that 7 anyway. So this box is nearly completed. We need a 6 and an 8 into those squares, which I can't see how to resolve that. 5, 8, 6, 8 though, so there's an 8 in one of those 2 squares. That can't be an 8 surely. No, it can't. This square would be would blow the end total open. We've only got 13 to play with, so if I put 8 here and make that 5, I've already got my 13 before I even take those 2 cells into account. So that's 4, that's 8. This 4 fixes the 4 and the 2. That places a 2 here by normal Sudoku rules. These 2 squares have got to be 5 and 9, and no, I don't know the order there. N is 30. Now N is 13, so this can't be an 8 now. We've already got 5. So this has to be 5, this has to be 3, this is the 8, and now we're really motoring. 5 here means these can't be 8. 1, 2. This square is a naked single now, because if we look along the row, you can see with the 5, 6 pair we need 1, 2 and 8 to place. Well, this square therefore can only be an 8. That forces an 8 up there, which means there's an 8 in one of those cells. This square's got to be a 1 or a 2. I do like this. It's a very interesting variant, isn't it? It's very smooth to solve as well. Some nice logic at the beginning. Now here's a nice trick. This N clue down here has to add up to 13. So if I make this a 3, I've just made the 13 impossible, because that's going to be a 2, and now I need these 2 squares to add up to 10 without using 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, 7 or 4, 6. Well, I can't use 2 5s in the same block, so in fact that is just not going to work. This one must be a 2, that must be a 3. These 2 have got to add up. Oh, there's loads going on now. Look, that's got to be 2, that's got to be 3. But these 2 have to add up to 11, so they've got to be 5 and 6. I can see I've got a 5, 6 pair, so that presumably means these are a 7, 8 pair. And look, we've got a 7 already in this row. So that's 8. That's 7, which fixes that as a 6. That's 5, that's 8. 8 must live down here now. And that square should be a 7, I think. This square's got to be a 5 or a 6. This has got to be 6 and 9. I can't see how to resolve that yet. Have I? I think we've used all the outside clues. And I think we've done what we can with the cages in the grid. So it is just a Sudoku challenge now. 7's got to be in one of those 2 squares. Now straight away, look, 7's are locked into the same 2 columns of the grid. So column 4 and column 5 have got their quantity of 7's now, because we know there's 2 7's in these 2 lots of yellow squares. So where does the 7 go in column 6? It's got to be here. That's the only valid square. So now these 2 squares have got to be 5 and 6. Now let's repeat the trick. 5's. That's lovely. So now 5s also are locked into column 4 and column 5 in this box and this box this time. So where are we going to put the 5 in column 6? It can't go in any of those squares. It can only go here. And that's going to give us 6, 5 here, look. Although maybe we could have got that before anyway. That fixes that this is a 6. We need a 9 here from our pencil marking unwinding. This 6 rebounds up into the 6-5 pair at the top, which knocks back on the 5-1 pair. That gives us a 1 here, which fixes everything over that side. These two squares are 2 and 9. That 2 down there tells us the order. So that square must be a 6, I think. That fixes the 6, 9 over there. These two have got to be 8 and 9, and that 9 tells us the order. The 2 here fixes the 2, 7. That gives us a 7 here. This is an 8. That fixes the 8 and the 6. We fix the 5 and the 9. We need a 5 down there. And if I haven't made a mistake, I can put a 7 in there. And we're done. Beautiful. Loved it. Loved it. So thanks very much to ProwlingTiger on your debut on the channel. I hope you enjoyed watching me go through that. I hope you guys enjoyed it obviously as well. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where Mark is going to be having a look at Slitherlink, a woefully neglected puzzle, but something that we need to correct. Slitherlink is one of my favourite pencil puzzle types, so do check that out. See you later on Cracking the Cryptic.